The kindness that feels good today can become the chains that bind you tomorrow. Are you brave enough to discover why? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this transformation. Not just a speech, but a wake-up call. We've been sold a lie. A dangerous lie that's destroying your potential one good deed at a time. Kindness, that thing your mother taught you, that virtue society praises, could be the very thing holding you back from greatness. Now, before you click away thinking I've lost my mind, I want you to do something uncomfortable. I want you to question everything you've been taught about being nice. Because today, we're going to explore the shadow side of kindness, the side nobody talks about, the side that's keeping you small, broke, and frustrated. You see, there's a difference between strategic generosity and mindless people-pleasing. One builds empires, the other destroys souls. And I'm going to show you exactly how to tell the difference. By the end of our time together, you'll understand why the kindest thing you can do is sometimes not being kind at all. Are you ready? Because what I'm about to share might just be the most important message you hear this year. Let's begin. Every time you say yes when you should say no, you're not being kind, you're being a martyr. And martyrs don't build legacies, they burn out. The sacrifice syndrome is that dangerous belief that your worth is tied to how much you give away. It starts innocently enough, staying late at work to help a colleague, lending money you can't afford to lose, giving away your precious time to people who wouldn't do the same for you. It feels good in the moment. You get that dopamine hit, that rush of virtue that comes from sacrifice. But what happens when this becomes your default mode? Your health deteriorates. Your energy depletes. Your dreams gather dust. Your potential withers on the vine of other people's needs. I've seen brilliant entrepreneurs delay launching their businesses because they were too busy solving everyone else's problems. I've watched talented artists abandon their craft because they couldn't say no to the endless demands of family and friends. This isn't kindness, it's slow suicide. The most successful people in history understood something critical. Personal boundaries aren't selfish, they're sacred. Every great achievement in human history came from someone who had the courage to protect their time, energy, and resources. They weren't unkind, they were strategic. They understood that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for the world is to put yourself first. Look at your life right now. Where are you sacrificing your greatness on the altar of kindness? Where are you saying yes when your soul is screaming no? That promotion you didn't go for because you didn't want to compete with your colleague? That business you haven't started because you're too busy helping others build theirs? That book inside you that remains unwritten because you've given away all your creative energy? The sacrifice syndrome isn't noble, it's a trap. And it's time to break free. Remember this, oxygen masks on airplanes exist for a reason. Secure yours first, then help others. Not the other way around. Your greatness matters too much to be sacrificed at the altar of misguided kindness. When your kindness knows no bounds, people's disrespect knows no limits. Let me tell you about James, a brilliant consultant who came to me broken and bewildered. His business was failing despite his exceptional talent. When I dug deeper, I discovered the problem. James had no boundaries. He would answer client calls at midnight. He would revise deliverables endlessly without charging extra. He would extend payment terms because he felt bad for asking for money. All in the name of kindness. The result? Clients who didn't respect his time. Clients who didn't value his work. A business that was bleeding cash and a man who was bleeding joy. His kindness had become an invitation for disrespect. Here's the brutal truth. People don't value what comes too easily. When you're endlessly accommodating, endlessly available, endlessly kind, you teach people that your time, talent, and expertise are worth nothing. You train them to walk all over you, and then you have the audacity to feel surprised when they do. Kindness without boundaries isn't kindness at all. It's self-sabotage dressed in virtue's clothing. The most respected leaders, the most successful entrepreneurs, the most impactful changemakers all share one quality. They know where their kindness ends and their self-respect begins. They understand that a well-placed no can be the kindest gift you give, both to yourself and to others. Because when you set boundaries, you don't just protect yourself, you teach others how to treat you. You create relationships built on mutual respect rather than exploitation. The next time someone asks for something that crosses your boundary, remember this: saying no doesn't make you unkind. It makes you intentional. It makes you powerful. It makes you respected. And ultimately, it allows you to direct your true kindness where it matters most, not where it's most convenient for others. Your boundaries are the guardrails of your greatness. Guard them fiercely. The more available your kindness, the less valuable your presence. Imagine walking into a store where everything is free. At first, you'd be thrilled, grabbing whatever catches your eye. But soon, a strange thing happens. You start treating those items carelessly. Why not? They cost nothing. There's no investment, no sacrifice required to obtain them. This is exactly what happens when your kindness becomes your calling card. When you're known as the person who's always available, always helpful, always giving, people stop seeing the value in what you offer. They stop treating your time, your energy, your expertise with respect. Not because they're bad people, but because you've trained them to see your kindness as commonplace, expected, ordinary. I've coached executives who couldn't understand why their teams didn't respect them despite their kind, accommodating leadership style. I've mentored professionals who couldn't figure out why they kept getting passed over for promotion despite being the most helpful person in the office. The answer was always the same: excessive kindness had diminished their perceived value. Think about the people you respect most in your life. Are they the ones who are endlessly available to you? Or are they the ones whose time and attention feel like precious resources, valuable precisely because they aren't dispensed without discrimination? True respect isn't born from boundless availability. It's forged in the fire of selective engagement. It grows when people see that accessing your kindness requires meeting certain standards, delivering certain results, showing certain qualities. This doesn't mean becoming cold or callous. It means becoming discerning. It means understanding that your kindness is a high-value asset, not a public utility. It means recognizing that sometimes withholding kindness in the short term creates the conditions for earning genuine respect in the long term. The paradox is powerful. By making your kindness less available, you make your impact more meaningful. By being selective about where you direct your generosity, you ensure it lands where it can truly make a difference, not just where it can make you momentarily feel good about yourself. Remember, respect isn't given to those who demand nothing in return for their kindness. It's earned by those who know exactly what their kindness is worth. Your helping hand today creates helpless people tomorrow. There's a story about a man who, walking through a forest, saw a cocoon with a small opening. A butterfly was struggling to emerge. Moved by kindness, the man took out his pocket knife and carefully cut open the cocoon. The butterfly emerged easily, but its body was swollen, its wings shriveled. The man continued watching, expecting the wings to enlarge and the body to contract. Neither happened. The butterfly spent the rest of its short life crawling around with a swollen body and shriveled wings, never able to fly. What the man didn't understand was that the struggle to push through the tight opening was nature's way of forcing fluid from the butterfly's body into its wings. Without the struggle, the butterfly could never fly. This is what your misguided kindness does. When you rush to solve other people's problems, when you remove obstacles from their path, when you cushion every fall and smooth every rough edge, you're not being kind. You're creating dependence. You're robbing people of the very struggles that would strengthen them. I've seen parents financially support adult children well into their 30s and 40s, all in the name of kindness, only to create entitled individuals who never develop the resilience or skills to survive on their own. I've watched managers complete tasks for their team members rather than letting them figure it out, creating employees who can't think independently. The greatest leaders understand that true kindness sometimes means watching someone struggle, not because you don't care, but because you care enough to let them develop their own strength. It means offering guidance instead of solutions, asking questions instead of providing answers, being a resource rather than a rescuer. When someone comes to you with a problem, ask yourself, am I helping them grow, or am I helping them avoid growth? Am I empowering them to develop their own capabilities, or am I making them dependent on mine? Am I being kind in a way that strengthens, or in a way that weakens? Remember this, the kindest thing you can do for someone is not to make their life easier. It's to make them stronger. And strength only comes through struggle. Don't be the person who cuts open cocoons. Be the person who stands by with encouragement as others fight their way to their own wings. The pain you prevent today prevents the progress they need tomorrow. Pain is not just a signal, it's a teacher. When you touch a hot stove, the pain teaches you not to do it again. When you fail in business, the pain teaches you what doesn't work. When a relationship ends, the pain teaches you what you truly need in a partner. Pain is information. Pain is feedback. Pain is the universe's most effective growth mechanism. So what happens when your kindness interferes with this process? What happens when you rush in to prevent others from experiencing the natural consequences of their actions? When you bail out the friend who repeatedly makes poor financial decisions? When you cover for the colleague who never meets deadlines? When you make excuses for the partner who consistently disrespects your boundaries? You're not being kind. You're being cruel in the most insidious way possible. You're stealing their growth. I once worked with a successful CEO who couldn't understand why his company's culture was toxic despite his best efforts. As we dug deeper, we discovered the problem: his misguided kindness. He never fired underperforming employees because he couldn't bear to cause them pain. He avoided difficult conversations because he wanted to be liked. He overlooked ethical breaches because confrontation felt unkind. The result? A company culture where mediocrity thrived, where bad behavior faced no consequences, where growth was impossible because feedback was absent. All because one man confused kindness with comfort. True kindness isn't about preventing pain, it's about facilitating growth. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is to step back and allow natural consequences to unfold. To let the employee face the results of their poor performance. To let your child experience the fallout from their bad decision. To let your friend hit rock bottom if that's what it takes for them to change course. This doesn't mean becoming callous or indifferent to suffering. It means developing the wisdom to distinguish between pain that destroys and pain that develops. It means having the courage to allow necessary struggles while providing support, not solutions. Remember, delaying someone's pain doesn't prevent it, it compounds it. And preventing someone's growth doesn't help them, it handicaps them. Choose true kindness over comfortable kindness, even when, especially when, it's the harder path. Behind every act of kindness lies a cost you rarely calculate until the bill comes due. We talk about kindness as if it's free. As if being generous with your time, energy, attention, and resources costs nothing. This is perhaps the most dangerous lie of all. Everything has a price. Every yes to someone else is a no to something else. Every hour spent solving another person's problems is an hour not invested in your own growth. Every dollar given away is a dollar not invested in your future. Every emotional burden you carry for someone else is energy not available for your own healing and progress. I remember working with Sarah, a brilliant entrepreneur whose business was on the verge of collapse. She couldn't understand why. She worked harder than anyone I knew, often pulling 16-hour days. But when we analyzed how she spent those hours, the truth emerged. Nearly 70% of her time was devoted to helping others with their businesses, for free. Clients who pushed boundaries, friends who needed advice, strangers in online groups who asked for her expertise. All in the name of kindness. The cost? Her own business was starved of her genius. Her own goals remained unrealized. Her own vision gathered dust while she invested her most precious resource, her irreplaceable time, in everyone else's dreams. This isn't an isolated case. I've seen marriages crumble because one partner gave all their emotional energy to friends and colleagues, leaving nothing for their spouse. I've watched promising careers stall because talented individuals couldn't stop volunteering for unrewarded work that drained their capacity for excellence in their actual responsibilities. The hidden price of kindness becomes visible only when you start tracking it intentionally. Start measuring what your kindness costs you in terms of time, energy, opportunities, mental bandwidth, emotional capacity. Ask yourself, if I were to invoice this person for my kindness, what would the amount be? And am I willing to pay that price? This isn't about becoming transactional in all your relationships. It's about becoming intentional. It's about recognizing that your resources are finite and precious, and that allocating them wisely isn't selfish, it's strategic. The most successful people understand this intuitively. They practice calculated generosity, not compulsive giving. They know exactly what their kindness costs and exactly what return they expect, whether that's the satisfaction of aligned values, the joy of supporting causes they believe in, or the strategic advantages of genuine relationship building. Remember this, kindness that bankrupts you serves no one. Before you give, know the price. And make sure it's one you can afford to pay. We've uncovered 6 powerful truths about how misguided kindness can sabotage your success, diminish your impact, and keep you trapped in mediocrity. The sacrifice syndrome turns generosity into self-destruction. Boundaries destroyed invites disrespect and exploitation. Respect reduction makes your presence less valuable. Dependency creation weakens those you claim to help. Delayed growth steals the lessons others need to learn. The hidden price depletes resources you need for your own journey. So where do we go from here? Does this mean we should abandon kindness altogether? Become callous, self-centered individuals focused only on personal gain? Absolutely not. The answer isn't less kindness, it's smarter kindness. Kindness with clarity. Kindness with boundaries. Kindness that empowers rather than enables. Kindness that serves your highest purpose rather than your momentary need for approval. True kindness, the kind that changes lives rather than merely making them comfortable, requires courage. The courage to say no when necessary. The courage to let others struggle when that's what they need to grow. The courage to value yourself as highly as you value others. Your kindness should be a reflection of your values, not a response to your fears. It should flow from your strength, not your weakness. It should elevate both the giver and the receiver, not diminish either. Starting today, I challenge you to audit your kindness. Examine where it's coming from, what it's costing you, and what impact it's truly having. Have the courage to redirect your generosity where it creates power rather than dependency, growth rather than stagnation, respect rather than exploitation. Because the world doesn't need your sacrifice. It needs your greatness. And sometimes, the kindest thing you can do, for yourself and for others, is to choose greatness over goodness, impact over approval, and strategic generosity over mindless giving. The choice is yours. Choose wisely. Thank you for allowing me to challenge your thinking today. True transformation rarely comes from comfortable conversations, and I'm grateful you had the courage to engage with these difficult truths. Remember, the greatest gift you can give the world isn't your endless accommodation. It's your fully expressed potential. Go forth with strategic kindness, fierce boundaries, and the unwavering commitment to create impact on your terms. Your journey to greatness begins the moment you recognize that your kindness should empower, not diminish, the greatness in yourself and others. I believe in what you'll become when you get this right. Until next time, choose power over people-pleasing and watch your life transform.